Welcome, everybody. It is the ShopNotes Podcast. Time to light it up again. It's episode number 281. I'm Phil, your host, joined today by the usual suspects, John and Logan. We're going to dive into some updates on travel and all the summer stuff that's been going on here at Woodsmith, Pop Wood, all the things, few events coming up. We're just going to go. Here we go right now. I've been working on a set of picture frames, and in the process of gluing up all of these pieces, the thing that I dread is having the glue fail. And like every project, it starts with an idea. And in the end, what really matters is how well it holds together. That's where Gorilla Wood Glue comes in. It's the number one most used wood glue brand among woodworking pros. It's made to be easy to use, even for beginners. Gorilla Wood Glue is made with less water and more glue for a strong, reliable bond. It dries a natural color with less yellowing. It cleans up with water and it's non-foaming. And for a clean, finished look, pair it with Gorilla Wood Filler. Together, they help smooth and refine the final look. Gorilla, trusted by pros, easy for everyone. Order yours today at GorillaTough.com/shopnotes. That's GorillaTough.com/shopnotes. All right, I'm going to kick things off with some listener comments from the last episode. That was when you were,
gone.
I think, in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Boy9GGZ. You need to put your names on stuff here.
I don't think that's his real name.
No. It's the guy from Albany. Woodsmith explains each step of a project and how to get from point A to point B. I've found other publications make too many assumptions on the reader's skill set. So if I've never seen a certain technique or tool, then I'm lost. Thank you, Woodsmith, for great projects and teaching me the techniques on how to build them. I just met Mike Pekovich at the cafe next door to where I volunteer here in Albany. All right. There you go. Mike's a great guy.
And yes, we do assume you know more than you know in those other publications.
And Popwood. Once you've graduated from Woodsmith, you can go to Popwood. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I didn't say it, but I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah. It's funny because when I'm designing projects, I often wonder how Mark is going to get from point A to point B when building it. So it's like,
fair.
I wonder how he's going to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Surprised.
We're always learning lots here.
Yeah. We make assumptions. We just make those assumptions on Mark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Schenker says, more videos from Phil's shop, please. Phil's shop is the best shop.
Wow. He's saying that like we don't all have shops.
Yeah.
Bonyboard Wood Shop says, I have come to enjoy tongue oil finishes. It brings nice warm tones to the wood. I'm using while still also making it feel like wood. I like that. Almost Perfection says that he saw the elm bench that we had talked about last week on the shop updates. Pretty cool what he did with the grain and loved the choice of finish. So that was the 3-finger Bobby elm.
It was.
That
Yep.
kind of had to be sliced and diced to make straight grain stuff for the different parts.
Yep. We should put him as a source in that issue.
Bobby 3 Fingers, Reynolds Sawmill.
Yep. Just put his cell phone number in there and wait for the calls.
I feel like that might be a little bit of liability on my part if we do that. So, love Bobo to death. Bobby went and helped me get all this crap from this auction. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You may or may not see Bobby 3 Fingers at Woodworking in America later this fall in October. Last year, he was there with quite a pile of lumber and ended up leaving with almost none of it. So,
and a CNC. He left with a CNC too.
Yeah.
Last I heard, he did still have some elm. So
he does. Actually, he does. Yeah,
price went up.
He has some 1-inch stuff now.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
See, there you go. So there you are. I'm not saying that you can find great deals at Woodworking in America, but I'm also
Can't find them if you're not there.
That. Yeah, you can't. Jim Carroll says, in Australia, we have had 2 magazines. The Australian Woodworker, closed, similar to your Popular Woodworking and Woodsmith, and the Australian Wood Review, still going, similar to your Fine Woodworking. And what they found is that they were read by 2 different audiences. The Woodworker was suited to that beginner to keen woodworker, and the Australian Wood Review was read primarily by the fine woodworking audience who wanted that more detailed pieces. The other difference was the tools they bought, and ranged from the big box store to the better Chinese tools, Luban, Narex, etc., for the woodworker audience, and then Veritas, Lee Nielsen, HNT Gordon are used by the Wood Review audience. You would find a similar finding in most countries like yourself, in Europe even, and I imagine Japan as well. You know, we used to get a German woodworking-ish magazine. It was more like Family Handyman, but in German. I think it was called Selbst.
Oh, Das Handyman?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And is there a woodworking magazine in Japan? That would be cool. I don't know.
I don't have a name for that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Eric says Keith Newton, YouTube videos and posts, uses a stroke sander, I believe. He's out of California and has vast amount of slabs and dogs running around the place. Builds one-of-a-kind items and is very old school, but with a contemporary feel in tool usage. He would be a great interview for your show. Not familiar? We will have to check him out. Mm-hmm. Although Logan really has the dogs running around the place thing kind of locked down for us. I don't know that.
Yeah.
Driver 111 says, please do an episode or article or class with Logan about how to move big machines, either from an online auction or Facebook marketplace as a regular person. I don't have a truck or a trailer, nor have I ever arranged a freight shipment. However, my love for vintage cast iron is overwhelming, and I need to figure out how to get these machines to me.
I feel like for legal reasons we should not do that.
I say, I don't know how big our beep hopper is for moving it, because there would be a lot of dubbed over videos of me moving big.
Although it would be a great title, though. Sketchy as heck, moving large tools.
Yep. I mean, I'm down.
Right.
Say the word.
I mean, you know, your tool restoration class with hand tools, you know, we had talked about a follow-on either being other hand tools or vintage machines, and I think you could deal with that in a section there.
Yeah.
Because that would be, I think you just have to buy those four-arm forklifts that you see advertised online. I think that's probably the way, real way to go.
Don't do that.
We got some shade here from Jean Marie McCracken. How tall is John? I know Phil is the short one, and this is not surprising at all. But I recently saw a video of John showing off the clamp rack he made, and he looked really short.
Whoa.
I always thought he'd be taller. Maybe the clamps were just really long. We all know Logan is short, although he has a big personality, and he seems to be the least top-heavy of the bunch.
What? I don't even know how to take this.
Those clamps were very short and slender. Like, do these clamps make me look fat?
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
Yep.
Oh, it makes me so happy. John is significantly taller than either Phil or myself.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Phil is Logan shorter than me.
Yeah,
but not by much.
Within like an inch or two. Like,
yeah. Like my driver's license says 5'10", like is what my driver's license says. So like, I'm not short, but I'm not tall.
Wait,
John, you have to be
You
what,
just
6'1"?
I'm six. Like, yeah,
6'2"?
6'1".
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my wife shot that video, so it should have been like kind of like made me look tall, like upwards.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess maybe we need to frame it differently next time. It's the lighting.
It's
We'll work on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is
need
the
to
best comment
build-
we've ever got.
I need to build shorter projects. Apparently,
Yes. Yeah.
they're making me look short.
Oh man, that was great.
And I was just thinking, we haven't gotten any good like shade or mean comments lately. Like we used to get a lot.
Yeah.
Those people must have just like fallen off.
They weeded
So-
themselves out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do
Self-selected.
appreciate that. We
Yeah.
appreciate a good roast.
Yeah. Speaking of, Harold McDonald says, "Hey, what happened to Dylan's thumb? I noticed in a recent video it appears to be cut off. Did this happen recently? Was he hanging out with Bobby Three Fingers?"
Oh my God.
Let's see. When did we get the saw stop table saws for the shop? It was
They
like,
were.
it happened like 3
7
months before that.
7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this comment section is just great today.
Fire, as the kids
yes,
say.
yes, yes, yeah. Dylan caught his thumb in a table saw kickback, probably about 8 years ago. And shortly after, we ended up with 3 saw stop table saws.
3 months. 3 months too late.
Yep. There have been, since I started, which was almost 9 years ago. 9 years ago. It's been 9 years.
Okay.
There have been 3, I'm going to say major, not major, but 3 accidents.
Yeah.
We had, first one was Dylan's thumb. Before we had the saw stops, we had the old Powermatic 66s. Then we had Steve Johnson had a good one on the Dado blade
Yep.
with his I also kickback on that, triggered and whatever. Ended up with a few stitches, I think, but not many. I think the stitches he ended up with were actually from the wood and not the blade. And then we had Mark's little whoopsie at the router table, 6 months ago or whatever that was. So like those have been the 3, not awful, not great, but yeah.
Yeah. So for the longest time, Dylan did his best to work around not showing it. It's part of who he is and the story he tells. So you'll see that in some of our videos. So, yeah. Finally, one last one to cap it off from Eric again. Very murky waters trying to define the readers of the 3 different magazines, especially given they're all from the same publisher now. But it would be interesting to get the reactions from a focus group. I get all 3 of yours as well as Wood. Now let's define what type of person reads Wood magazine.
Oh, we like those guys too much to start a war.
Right.
They wouldn't stand a chance either. So like, we're not going to do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like,
Because we're way meaner.
yeah,
We
it's
are
not a
way meaner than those guys.
It's not a competition. Maybe I'm just a chameleon, or I just appreciate the different views, and I feel I get from each publication, or I just like getting things in the mail. There's a lot to be said for that too, is seeing when the new issues come out, because I know that we get them around here, and it's fun to page through each one, especially since for me and probably John too, is by the time the new Woodsmith comes out, I've read that bad boy like 4 times and I already know what's in it, but it is still interesting to see it in print again. But like Popular Woodworking, Fine Woodworking, when they come out, usually page through those and read a few of the articles. That's always cool to do. So speaking of which, Woodworking in America, you're going to see several of the authors from both of those titles at the event. Shay Alexander is going to be back.
Albert Klein.
And Albert Klein, Vic Teslin, David Johnson, who has written for Fine Woodworking, Dan Bollock, Sari Robinson, lots of folk. There's a lot of really cool things going on there. And it would be a great chance to get to know some of these people, ask questions, learn about stuff, both during their sessions and after. I think you'll just want to be there for it. So, Logan, John, and I, we're going to be there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Don't let that deter you from coming, though.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll be sure to wear my platform shoes.
Yeah, if you want to send us your comments, questions, smart remarks, you can do that. Woodsmith@woodsmith.com is the email address, or subscribe to the podcast over on YouTube on the ShopNotes Podcast channel, where most of our episodes reside. And you'll be able to leave a comment there, and where we can interact and or just totally ignore whatever you've written. So anyway, there you go. All right, Logan, since you were gone last episode, you want to kind of take us back to your trip?
Yeah. So did we ever actually podcast after I picked all this crap up at auction?
That's what I was just thinking. I don't know if we have.
That's true. We did not. I just posted photos of when you had picked it up.
I feel like I owe Bobby Three Fingers a huge shout out for going and picking this stuff up with me, because I got to tell you, like, you guys, everybody deserves to punish themselves by getting friends that don't discourage behavior like this. Like, Bob, I was like, Bobby, what you doing on Thursday? He's like, nothing. Why? I was like, you want to go pick up some stupid stuff? He's like, heck yeah. And then we got up there, and not once did he say, you shouldn't do this. He said, you're crazy several times.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But we were two sweaty grown men after like 3.5, 4 hours of loading up stuff on a trailer. So I think I misjudged the volume of stuff I bought at this auction. Okay, let's rephrase that. Did not misjudge it. I did not realize how long the tables were on this radial arm saw.
Right.
I cut 20 feet off, and they still take up the entire wall of my shop. So yeah, I ended up with a radial arm saw, giant GE model, 5 horsepower, 20-inch blade, a 30-inch maximum width of cut at 4.5 inches thick, I think. So just a big old radial arm saw. Ton of trim, bundles of trim, way more wood than I thought I was buying for $15. The stroke sander is absolutely giant. Like, I don't think that people understand how big the stroke sander is. I bought some hydraulic lift tables, a little pallet stacker. I bought all this stuff. Here we are, 3 weeks later, I think.
Yeah.
I have sold the pallet stacker. I sold.
Oh,
the
did you
jointer.
really?
I
totally thought you were going to keep that.
Hold on now. I have sold the pallet stacker. I have sold the jointer. I have sold the hydraulic lift tables. I sold both tables off of the stroke sander. What else? The trim I'm keeping. Yeah. So really, the only things I have left off of that entire auction are the rail arm saw. The only thing I really went there for. All the trim that I'm going to cut up into stickers. And then I still have the pedestals that have the motor and the other wheel from the stroke sander. Other than that, I've sold it all. I still have one of the tables here. Chris Hennessy, our former photographer, bought one of those, so I have it here until he can get a trailer over here to pick it up. And then I still have the hydraulic lift tables that the guy's driving from the middle of Nebraska to pick up. He paid me for them, but he just has to pick them up. So yeah, I flipped all this stuff just turning and burning. It was great. It worked out fantastically. It just was one of those things that, huge shout out to Carol for keeping me in the loop on this auction. I know she was kind of just poking me to keep the bear going on it. But yeah, it worked out really well. So radial arm saw is not hooked up and running yet. I need to get a phase converter for it. It's a big motor, so it needs a big phase converter. I'm also going to have to pull power to that wall of the shop. But other than that, it's going to work out great. But yeah, last week I did have to take 2 trips. So what was a one trip was supposed to be a one trip with Bobby's gooseneck trailer, and Bobby drove. So it was the best thing. I called him like, "Hey, you want to go?" He's like, "Yep, I'll pick you up in the morning." He pulls up with his truck and trailer. We just went. So ended up being a 2 trip thing because there was so much lumber there. We were looking at like, can we get all this lumber on top of everything and kind of mount it on? There's absolutely no way we could have got it all on there. Like it was, the radial arm tables were so long, way longer than I thought. They have a Biesmeyer fence on them, which is really nice. So there's like a 20-foot long Biesmeyer fence off of each side of it. So
yeah,
kind of like our miter saw in the shop.
Right,
super nice. But yeah, last week
to go back to that, you originally had thought that it was a 16-inch radial arm saw.
Yes, so the blade that's on it is a 16-inch.
Okay,
it is supposed to have a 20-inch on it. It can have up to a 20-inch. So I pulled the manual. It can hold anywhere from a 12-inch to a 16-inch blade. It's a 1-inch arbor on it, so it's a big arbor. To get the maximum cut throw, which is 30 inches, you need a 20-inch blade. So I'm going to see if I can find a 20-inch blade. I did end up with a bunch of extra blades for it. Brand new, not brand new, but they're resharpened. So they're sharp blades. A few of the blades I ended up bringing that were in the radial arm saw. It's when you do these auctions, it's like you're buying the radial arm saw and all the contents of the shelf on it, regardless of if they go with it or not. So like I took this radial arm saw with all these blades. I'm like, cool, done. And then I realized like 4 of the blades are like straight line ripsaw blades from the straight line ripsaw that they had. So I got 4 blades that are 14-inch diameter, straight ripping blades for a giant industrial ripsaw. Don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I got them. Also ended up with a coffee can full of brad point bits for the multi-gang. There's like a 24 head gang drill that they had. I ended up with a coffee can full of like sharp brad point bits. So don't know. But yeah, so that was a couple weeks ago. And then last week, I was in North Carolina, visiting 2 gentlemen. The first one I spent a couple days with Brian Boggs, really well-known chair maker and craftsman. Brian is an interesting fella. He's the type of guy that I'm like, boy, I am so glad that I have zero insight into the operations of your head. Like, I don't want to be in that headspace at all because I'm exhausted just thinking about it. So Brian's a phenomenal craftsman. He's built a very good business for himself over the last, 40 years. So I was there shooting some articles on, he wanted to shoot some ideas on new grinding techniques or a different way of sharpening and grinding plane irons and sharpening them. And we did that. And we also did do I want to say this yet or not? Yeah, I'm going to say it. So Brian also was like, hey, I want to shoot this other article while you're here. We did the sharpening one. I shot a handful of tips in his shop. And we also shot an article on super tuning your hand plane, in which he took a Lee Nielsen number 4 hand plane and he bedded the frog and the blade using epoxy. So, and this is what I'm saying, Brian's headspace is just nuts, right? He's like, I can feel something's just not right. Like, it works. Hand plane works. It works great. But I just feel like there's a little flutter in the blade. Feel like there's a little bit of flutter. So, Brian being Brian, pulled the entire plane apart. He took 2-part epoxy and white writing paper. So white writing paper, just standard line paper, is about 3/1000 thick. And he just coated that thing in epoxy. So he's like, I'm making a gasket. That's what he kept calling this thing. I'm making a gasket. He laid it in the bed of the plane, waxed the sole of the frog, and reassembled it. Then he did the same thing on the front edge of the frog. Put a layer of paper with epoxy on it, waxed the back of the blade, put it in place, tightened everything down. Let it sit overnight. He's like, now that is a perfect mate, absolute perfect mate between the frog and the epoxied bed and the frog and epoxy in the blade. And he has done this on his number 7 hand plane. He did it on his number 4. So we were shooting some photos, and I didn't actually get to see it in use because we did that like as I was having to leave. And he texted me later. He's like, I have never felt anything so silky smooth in my life. Like, and when you pulled it off, like you can see the grind lines from the blade embedded in the epoxy. Like it works. So I'm going to be interested to hear how this article kind of lands with the audience. Like, you're telling me you're taking a $400 hand plane and putting an epoxy in it? Like, yeah, maybe. If it works better, like, why not? Or maybe I try it on a few of the Stanleys here because, like, those are nice. They're nice hand planes, but they're not Lee Nielsen hand planes. So let's see if that really kicks them to the next level. So very interesting. So I spent a couple days with Brian in beautiful Asheville, North Carolina. Beautiful little town. And then I drove.
How has it recovered from the hurricane?
The hurricane years ago? Pretty well. Of course, when I'm there, it was like pouring sideways. Like there was flash flood warnings that you shouldn't drive downtown because of the rain. But pretty well. I'm not gonna say that there wasn't any. I didn't see anything that I'm like, oh, yep, hurricane damage. But I know it was hit pretty hard when that happened. We went and so Brian, the day I had to leave to drive to Raleigh, which is like a 4-hour drive, he's like, hey, we're gonna go have lunch with a friend of mine at this place called Making Whole. So Making Whole is a community of craftsmen that this guy started this shop where they have a wood shop, they have a metal shop, they have a turning studio, and they also have a concrete shop in it. And he employs people that have completed rehab. So it's kind of like a hey, come to this space where everybody's in the same situation. We're all going to, we're going to teach you these skills, whatever. Not a school because they take custom orders, so they make custom stuff for people. So they were working on a kitchen when I was there. They had 3 Frank Lloyd Wright stained glass windows in there that they were restoring. Like just super cool and unbelievable space. Like you walked in the main entryway. They make lunch for each other every day. So one person a day is on lunch duty. So it's like when we were there, when Brian and I went, it was breakfast for lunch. So somebody was scrambling eggs and frying bacon and doing all this stuff. But you walk in and there's like this giant cast concrete dining table. And it looks like you're walking into like a Michelin star restaurant. Like everything's all black. It's a concrete counter where they're cooking at, like just crazy cool place. So that was very cool. I'm gonna see if I can get a hold of Jeremy there and see if we can get some things in the works because he seems to be a very talented craftsman. And actually, one of the former editors of Woodcraft magazine has a space in that shop that he works out of regularly. So kind of cool. And then I jumped in the car and drove 4 hours over to Raleigh and spent time with Stephen Slocum, who is the owner of New Heritage Woodworking, maker of molding planes, hand planes, stuff like that. So we shot 2 articles there, one on building your own set of rule joint planes. So rule joint being that joint that is like a drop leaf on a table where it's kind of a filleted roundover and then a cove. But building those planes, and then the second part is second article was building a little drop leaf table that uses those planes. So kind of a cool little project.
All right.
Yeah, very cool to be in his shop, and yeah, he makes beautiful planes. I have a couple of his planes. I may be ordering a half set of rounds, hollows and rounds from him too. So he will be at Handworks. So him and his wife Rosalind will be up here for Handworks. So yeah,
who did
it was
you
a
say
good
that
trip.
Was?
Stephen Slocum.
Slocum. Okay.
Slocum. Slocum, I think.
Okay. And the name, because I want to just put the link in the show notes page.
Yep, New Heritage Woodworks. Let me see if I can find the website. NewHeritageWoodworks.com. Yep.
I'll also put a link in the show notes page to Making Whole, that organization, and so you can check in on what they're up to as well.
Yeah.
Also, going back to the auction, if any listeners out there need a reason to explain what they do to a significant other, partner, spouse, whatever, let this episode be your guide or cautionary tale, because it turns out that you can buy ridiculous things that you don't need at an auction and still come out ahead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I mean, easily doubled my money on it.
Right.
Even with the stuff I'm keeping.
All right. There you go.
I mean, unless you're the IRS, then I absolutely lost my ass.
Yeah. Total loss.
Total loss. Just
Write it
off. Yep, write it off.
Yep.
I mean, just your time and
the
mileage
mileage
alone. I mean,
well, yeah.
Right.
To be fair, it was Bobby's mileage one way, so I gave him some cash on that. So,
Yep.
I'm kind of surprised Bobby didn't come out of there with anything.
well, he wasn't aware that the auction was going on. To be honest with you, I don't know if there's anything in there that he would have bought. Some of the stuff ran really hard.
Okay.
Some of the stuff also was not labeled correctly. So there was that like Benkert, what they were calling an abrasive planer.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
Which if you look at the documentation on vintagemachinery.org, shout out to Keith Rucker there. It says, it's basically a drum sander, basically a thickness sander.
Yeah.
However, they had removed that, or I don't know if they'd removed it or if they actually had a knife head in it, because what that machine had there is it had a radius knife on it where it was scooping out the Q
Oh,
seats.
yeah.
So I'm like, boy, glad I didn't buy that with the intent to make stuff thinner.
Right.
I mean, you can, but you're also making it a little scoopy.
Yeah, not uniformly thinner.
No. Don't get me wrong. There was absolutely some stuff that was in good shape. Like, I mean, honestly, the stroke sander was great. These pedestals, the tables I sold, fantastic shape. The two pedestals with the one with the motor, one without the motor, they're sitting here in the shop. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I'm probably going to list them for sale. I think that they are the perfect foundation for somebody wanting to build a sawmill, because one is a 7.5 horse electric motor, giant. The other one is a axle with a tracking adjustment on it. So it's like already built. All you have to do is bolt it onto some frame to start a sawmill project. So like, I think that is valuable there. They're also like maybe 1,500 pounds for the pair of them. So in scrap alone, it's worth a couple $100. So
Sure. All right.
But yeah.
And then Brian Boggs, he did years and years ago, did an article for Fine Woodworking on souping up a spoke shave, where he did the same epoxy. I think he used cardboard back then on that one.
Yep.
Like to tune up a kind of a raggedy Stanley 151 style on there. I'll see if I can find that link and then put that in the show notes page as well.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting talking to Brian, the way he thinks about stuff is just different. And I'm not saying that that's good. I'm not saying that that's bad. It's just as a fact. Like, he thinks about things differently. If somebody said he overthinks they would not be wrong. If somebody thinks that he's a genius, they would not be wrong. Because, we're standing there talking about grind angles. And a standard hand plane blade's ground at 45 degrees, something like that. So
30.
if you look at that, like, you can actually lower that angle super far before you start to interfere. The bevel starts to interfere with the cutting edge. And Brian's like, why would you not? Because you're putting more material behind the cutting edge, and it's going to be a stronger force in that cut, right? Like, you have more material backing up that cutting tip.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So, like, if you look at his hand plane blades, when you flip the sole of his hand plane up, it almost the bevel of his blade is almost in line with the sole of his plane, because he's like, the only thing that matters is that front cutting edge. It doesn't matter what that bevel angle is. He said, but the more material you put behind it, the less chatter you get and the smoother that cut is. I'm like,
right.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. Would most people notice a difference? Maybe not, but
yeah, it would also be harder to push though too, because of the wedge, right?
Well, you still have clearance angle there.
Yeah,
so you
do.
Still have clearance angle, and the front angle never changes.
Yeah.
It's just, is it this angle or is it this angle?
Right.
So, yeah, it's just the way he thinks about stuff is just interesting. Dude does a lot of things on the bandsaw. He has 2 Yates American bandsaws. He has a 20-inch and a 36-inch. Beautiful bandsaws. Unbelievably cool. The old, what you will hear called you will hear them called the snowflake bandsaws, because the covers on them are perforated, kind of look like a snowflake. That are extremely heavy. Looking at his 36-inch bandsaw, I think it's twice as heavy as my Crescent is. Just looking at the amount of cast iron there. It's insane how much cast iron is there. But he does all of these weird, like, compound curve cuts on the bandsaw. And all of his chair designs, and we'll put some photos up of some of the chair designs I took photos of in his kind of entryway of his shop. They all have weird compound curves where it's like, maybe the seat's curved this way, but it's also curved this way, and he's cutting it on a bandsaw jig that, like, is spinning and twisting as he's cutting it. Just weird stuff that I'm like, you're not right in the head, sir. Like, nobody should be thinking about something like this.
Yeah, it is definitely cool to see what he does with his bandsaw and what he demands of it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That it's not a roughing tool.
Yep.
It's
he's getting glue line cuts off of his bandsaw.
Off the saw. Yeah.
Yep. It's he also is a big fan of 80/20 channel.
Yes.
The extruded aluminum. He makes a lot of different machines. He had this entire jig built for grinding these plain blade irons. He's like, I know somebody's not going to do this. He's like, I just like this stuff. So he's grinding it on there. It's super funny. He was also telling me, and I think this would be a cool article, and I'm going to have to, I need to touch base with Brian anyways on these 2 articles we shot. But he was talking about how he has recently started playing with thread rod joinery. So not like nuts and threaded rod, but like using threaded rod as a tenon with epoxy. And, I did that several years ago on that poker table I built for my friend. That was my tenons were threaded rod, but Brian had some very compelling arguments why it makes a great joint. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I could definitely see that being an article. Like, yeah. So
cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
All right. Last week, I traveled to visit family in Wisconsin. And while I was up there, got to spend some time with a friend of mine at his cabin in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, the UP, if you will. And it was a lot of fun because that section of Wisconsin and Michigan was one of the great white pine timber forests of North America for a long time. And in many places is actually coming back because most of the people that live there aren't logging. So there's a lot of places that got overlogged and then fire swept through there. And so you end up with a lot of aspen growing in its place, which gets turned into cardboard boxes and paper and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But there are places where the forest is regenerating itself. And it was really cool to see, I have a thing for white pine, eastern white pine, to be able to see these somewhat giant white pines regrowing amid the main part of the forest. So the other major tree up there, it's probably actually more of them are red pines, and then white pines interspersed in there in different ratios depending on where you are. And it was just really cool. Had my son with me, and he was like, I have never seen trees this tall or this straight in my life, which was just really cool thing. And it was going along with the fact that I've just read a book about the white pine by John Pastor. I'll put a link to that book on there, which is really fascinating about both the natural history of the tree and also the human history, particularly after European contact, where a lot of white pines were harvested for masts and sailing ships, and then how that got turned into saw logs and then regular lumber and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So anyway, the book about white pine was really fascinating. And then to kind of see it in action in northern Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula was really cool. Also talked about several people in the area. One particular, a logging company in Minnesota that is trying to both restore the forest and do harvesting on it at the same time. So like, instead of having these, what you often see, just plantations where it's just big plots of land that are a single species, all the same age, they have their timber area is mixed species, variety of ages, and then are harvesting, kind of like what's available so that they can increase the value of the products that they create and also restore the health of the forest, which was just really cool and was fun to learn about. Kind of seeing both the woodworking and the forestry and the sawmilling kind of all merge together and how that works. So recommend the book highly. There's also some YouTube videos that kind of go in with it because this guy, the lumber company, is part of restoring white pines. White pine saplings are susceptible to white-tailed deer browsing. They'll just nip off the lead bud on it and kind of stunt the tree for a long time. So they found that they can prevent that by just taking a piece of paper and folding it over the terminal bud and stapling it and protecting it until the tree gets to be like above 6 feet, where the deer will leave it alone and then can grow up.
Yeah, I usually, really cool. When I need to avoid that, I usually use a 30-06. Mm-hmm. But
yeah,
technically not in Iowa, more of a 20 gauge, but
express delivery.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I use the very fast delivery system.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, when you're just interested in a particular tree species, it's kind of fun to learn more about it, and so I've kind of been doing that. Both on my trip and then on the way back, and since I've been home, is just learning more and more about eastern white pine as the tree, about the forest that it lives in, as well as enjoying the use of it in projects. Really fun. I think in another life, I could probably have been involved in that kind of forestry work.
Yeah. There's a guy that shows up on my Facebook quite a bit. I feel like his name is like Ethan Trapper. I might be butchering that, but he is a habitat specialist. Appears like he's maybe in Michigan or something. And he specializes in bird habitat. So he's actually walking around the forest talking about the ecosystem as a avian restoration project, where he's like, hey, we're coming in, we're knocking all these trees down to offer habitat for woodpeckers and all this type of stuff. He does a lot of other things. Like, you can tell he's just a conservation nut anyways. So he's talking about, different things in different videos. One of them, I was listening to him about fox and stuff like that. It's just super interesting, but I agree. It's those type of conservation and forestry type programs. So I'm like, yep, I'm into that 100%.
Yeah. 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 So my friend owns, I think, 12 acres as part of like a family cabin that they have up there. And he's talked about trying to figure out a way to, because right now it's managed by neglect, which isn't the same as a natural forest, because, it's just part of the larger area. So it's not like getting the historic level of just natural wildfires that would go through or whatever. It was, it's recovering from, 100 whatever years ago of logging, and, people not being involved with it. So if you get too many deer, then obviously certain species aren't going to thrive and others are, and all of that kind of stuff. So he'd like to actively manage that a little bit more and be able to get some material out of it. There you go. John, what do you got?
Oh, where did we last leave off? Let's see. A couple weeks ago, we finished up our finishing online ed class. I think we talked about that last time we were on, though. And then last week, we were full into photography for the next issue of Woodsmith magazine. So I was working on readers' tips, which is always fun. Get to do a lot of tinkering in the shop, making little props and jigs and stuff for that. And then done with that. So now I am on to project design for the next issue and beyond. And I have not gotten any real direction. So I have several projects going on, several tabs open, as they say. So I'm working on, almost done drawing up a cedar bench, a garden bench. So it's been a while since we've done a garden bench, I think. So working on that. Try to get stuff like that built seasonally so we can still shoot it outdoors here in Iowa, maybe get it into summer, early fall, and then it'll be in the magazine for early spring next year. So that's always kind of something for outdoor projects where they're kind of a year to 6 months out on those. So a little bit farther on than normal projects that were about 2 months out. So working on that and drawing some nesting tables because I saw that on the Matrix, and see what was the other thing. Oh, maybe a bookcase. So several irons in the fire. We'll see what comes out.
Yeah.
Maybe just ash, but
I got some of that. You need some.
There you go. So, yeah.
Cool. All right. Always lots of fun going on here at Woodsmith. Still summer. This is early August 2026 when this episode airs. If you are traveling through the Des Moines area, we'd love to have you stop in for a tour. come in and do that. We've had quite a few recently, whether it's just you and your family traveling through, somebody in on business, or you want to bring a group. We'd love to have you here. You can see where all the sausage is made. And check it out. Otherwise, don't forget Woodworking in America coming up in October 9th and 10th. And the day before, we're doing open house here at Woodsmith, as well as the Great Woodsmith Garage Sale, selling tools, projects, props, all of that stuff. Come find a deal, make some deals, channel your inner Logan Whitmer and pretend it's an auction, and come see what you get. So, like I said, we'll be posting some of the photos of things that'll be available. We have everything from large workbenches and power tools that we need to get rid of, as well as small projects. We do a lot of boxes and clocks and accessories and things like that. So even if you're flying in, there might be something for you to tuck into a bag to take with you that will still get through security. Anyway, that's it for the Shop Notes podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or smart remarks, I want to hear about it. You can send them as an email, woodsmith@woodsmith.com, or leave a comment on our YouTube channel for the Shop Notes podcast. The Shop Notes podcast is a production of Active Interest Media. It is edited by Nate Gruca, and the executive digital editor is Ben Strano. We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye.